imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so.
Donald Trump sat down in front of a crowd of MAGA faithful after the inauguration in the post-inauguration rally to sign 9 executive orders. Here they all are.
But we're doing this on the very first day in office, and in just a few moments, I'm not only signing the release of the J6 hostages, I'm signing other things that you're going to love. Oh, you're going to be happy reading newspapers tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. So I just want to thank, I mean, look at this place. It's full to the rafters. You don't have any. Look at those people up there. You don't have any empty seats. I can only tell you, you're going to be very happy. You're going to watch a lot of good things happen. We got to stop some wars that are happening and going on. Some stupid things are happening. The war with Ukraine would have never happened, and it has. As you know, Israel would have never been hit on October 7th, and none of you would be up here. None of you would even know anything about this tragedy that you're going through right now. But Iran was broke. Anybody that bought oil from Iran, they couldn't do any business with us. You're not going to do business with America. China passed. Everybody passed. They were broke. They didn't have money for Hamas. They didn't have money for Hezbollah. And your sons would be alive, and they certainly wouldn't be incarcerated like they are. It's such a shame. But we're getting a lot of people out in a short period of time. So I'm going to go right over to here, and I'm going to sign in front of you. Is that okay? Good.
First is the rescissions of 78 Biden-era EOs and presidential memoranda.
You want to go over that? Do you want to say it? Do you want to say it?
Oh, if you want me to, sir.
Why don't you say what I'm signing?
Sure. The first item that President Trump is signing is the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others. Thank you. The second item, President Trump, is a regulatory freeze, as you announced in your speech, preventing bureaucrats from issuing any more regulations until we have full control of this, the government and this administration. Next item, sir, is a freeze on all federal hiring, excepting the military and a number of other excluded categories, again, until full control of the government is achieved and we understand the objectives of government going forward.
Imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so.
Sir, the next item, as you announced in your speech, is a requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately. Thank you, sir. Next, we have a directive to every department and agency in the federal government to address the cost of living crisis that has cost Americans so dearly. Thank you, sir. The next item here is the withdrawal from the Paris Climate Treaty. By withdrawing from that treaty. We're going to save over $1 trillion by withdrawing from that treaty. That will be transmitted to the United Nations. And the next item, sir, is a letter that will be transmitted to the United Nations explaining that we are withdrawing from the Paris Climate Treaty. This next item is a directive to the federal government ordering the restoration of freedom of speech and preventing government censorship of free speech going forward. And lastly, sir, before we go back to the Oval Office to sign a large number of other items, is a directive to the federal government ending the weaponization of government against the political adversaries of the previous administration, as we've seen. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Pretty fun job.
Trump announced a flurry of executive orders and other presidential actions on Monday, fulfilling a campaign promise to enact a sweeping conservative agenda upon his return to the White House. Among other things, the president withdrew from the landmark Paris Agreement, rescinded 78 Biden-era executive actions, and implemented a federal hiring freeze. Trump signed his first few executive orders before the inaugural luncheon on Monday afternoon, and the orders appointed dozens of cabinet-level officials and acting officials across the government, pending state confirmation of Trump's cabinet nominees. Officials who were appointed in acting capacities via executive orders include James McHenry acting as Attorney General, Lisa Kennan acting as Secretary of State, Robert Salasys acting as the Secretary of Defense, Dorothy Fink as acting Secretary of Health and Human Services, Benjamin Huffman as acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Averill as acting Secretary of the Army, Tom Sylvester as acting CIA Director, Mark Ietta as acting Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, and Andrew Ferguson as Chairman of the Federal Trade Commission. The new president also addressed supporters on Monday evening at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C., where he announced that he will issue pardons for the J6 hostages, referring to the people who were indicted or convicted over their role in the January 6, 2021, what mainstream media calls the Capitol riot. Trump said, quote, "As soon as I leave, I'm going to the Oval Office and will be signing pardons for a lot of people." As you just saw, Trump signed the executive actions at a presidential signing desk that was set up on this stage at the arena before his arrival. The actions he signed included the recession of 78 Biden-era executive orders, a regulatory freeze preventing bureaucrats from issuing any more regulations until, quote, "we have full control of the government," a freeze on all federal hiring except in the military, and a number of other excluding categories, a requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work, directing agencies to address Americans' cost of living crisis, withdrawing from the Paris Agreement, a directive to the federal government, quote, "ordering the restoration of freedom of speech and preventing government censorship of free speech going forward," and a directive to the federal government to, quote, "end the weaponization of government against the political adversaries of the previous administration," as we've seen. Trump will sign several more orders after going to the White House on Monday evening. Many of Trump's campaign promises may be able to be implemented by executive orders, but others, they say, will require support from Congress. Now, the Republicans do have the majority in the House and the Senate, but their slim House majority and the existence of the Senate filibuster means that Trump will need cooperation from at least some Democratic lawmakers to pass parts of his agenda. Many of these orders are likely to face legal challenges over the coming months, as liberal groups and watchdog organizations have pledged to sue the Trump administration over some of the president's campaign pledges. As it stands right now, there's no word on what Trump has done in regard to Julian Assange or Edward Snowden or Ross Ulbricht. And I'll try to keep you informed when I hear something. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comment section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list through my website, highimpactflix.com, and I will see you in the next video.